Adriana Bernabel. Today I have a very amazing expert in the field of entertainment media, from starting out in radio to hosting Revolt, and now one of the co-hosts for the nationally syndicated Hollywood Unlocked. It's the one and only DJ Damage. How are you?
Hey, what's up? And thank you so much for having me on this. So thank you.
Well, thank you for helping me complete my senior capstone project. A's all around. Boom. So first, your work ethic is crazy, right? You started out DJing at 12 years old, and then you went to college and started doing what you love and eventually had BET reach out to you. I wanted to know, growing up, who were a few influential people in the game that you looked up to in this business?
When I was growing up, I looked up to so many people. I was the kid that, because there wasn't really YouTube when I started. There was no YouTube. YouTube didn't happen until I was maybe 3 years after I started DJing.
Wow.
So what I would do is I would go on MySpace and I would read all the DJs' bios and see like what year did they start and see if did I start at a good time. So literally my inspirations range from so many people. But I think specifically we have to be Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff. I think that was the blueprint that created the idea of me wanting to DJ, because my brother was an artist.
Yeah.
So I was always his Jazzy Jeff to his Will Smith. Sorry, not Will Prince. He is the Fresh Prince though. I think that's like the biggest inspirations was DJ Jazzy Jeff and Will Smith, the Fresh Prince.
Yeah, definitely. Wow, MySpace, that took me back a little bit. Technological boom game changer. So it's crazy to think that the first person of color in entertainment media was Mr. Jack L. Cooper, the first disc jockey on radio in the 1920s. That's only like 100 years ago.
It's 100.
Yeah, we've come a long way from then. Don't you agree?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Such a long way. When speaking on representation in the entertainment media, what ways do you feel like we've advanced in this field? And then as a two-parter, what ways do we still need to improve?
What ways have we advanced? I mean, as you said before, in this media space, we weren't allowed at all. Just think about films. There were, white actors playing black parts. And I remember some of the first black actresses, and they were fair skinned. And, so I feel like we've come so far as the representation. I think not where we need to advance, but where the industry needs to advance itself is ownership and allowing us into those rooms so we can create our own platforms. Like we're allowed to be players on people's platforms and to be exploited by different platforms, but we're not allowed a fair shake at creating our own platforms. So I think that's something that the industry itself needs to advance on. I wouldn't say us as a people we need to advance, because I feel like we've been there many times and we've been stifled.
Yeah.
But I do think the industry overall needs to let us have our own share of the pie. I don't understand why every other culture can, but we can't.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my answer.
That's wild. Yeah, in radio, as I was researching, I came across articles that talked about how people of color used to use radio as a platform to let each other know, in code, by the way, come out to the marches and to the rallies. They couldn't just outward say it on the radio on air. They had to kind of decode it in order to just make change and make a difference. So I think just in that way we've advanced, because now we can talk about everything free range under the sun. So
we could talk about whatever we want, whenever we want, how we want, but it can never be on a platform we own. And if it is a platform we own, why are we limited to advertising and resources like that? So I think that's the next step that the industry needs to expand and let us be able to participate, because it's not like we're participating and we're failing. We're being denied the access to really participate. We're being, pushed to the side. And I'm watching other cultures do it. And I wonder why, when it comes to our culture, the culture that's exploited the most, and that makes every other culture the most money, why can't we just have a fair shake at owning our own platforms in any right? So, and there are some, salute to Sean Diddy Combs with Tidal and that streaming platform. There are platforms, but there's not many. And the stuff we go through having these platforms is a lot. So I think that's the next step for us.
100%. And if you think about it, urban media has become more mainstream as of late than what regular mainstream used to be like just 10, 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's wild. Taking the big elephant in the room, COVID, right? Let's take COVID into perspective for a second. How has COVID affect the industry? And do you think that we'll be able to get back to a sense of normalcy?
No, no. So COVID has definitely shook the industry up. Did it shake it in a good way? We are still going to see. I think the ironic part for me is when I was on Revolt Live, our whole goal, we were even trying to create an app where artists can go live and do interviews on a live TV platform from wherever they're at in the world, right? Now, of course, we had FaceTime and Skype at these times. It wasn't an advanced app that had the, and all that to make it happen. Now, fast forward 5, 6 years later, everything's happening like this, which is insane.
Yeah.
So on the flip side, you're losing a lot of that personal touch, but I think also you're gaining so much more accessibility to so many people and to be able to connect with so many people you couldn't before. Being that we have the Hollywood Unlocked show, it was so hard to schedule guests to come in and sit down physically.
Yeah.
Because of scheduling ones of, the artist schedule or the actor, actresses, the celebrity schedule, traffic, anything can go wrong. When you have this in the comfort of your own home and you can set up everything here, you get more access to those celebrities or those people you want to interview. And after a while, I know this can be tiring, but people are becoming so comfortable with doing this where you might get a better interview looking at them face to face like this, where they can't really deflect than you would in person. So I see a lot of positives in it. I know there are probably some negatives, but I'm a person to try to see the positives in a lot of things. And I feel like for me, it has been a positive impact. But I work in this kind of space. Now, for the people that's DJing out there or that's working on film and TV sets, I feel for them because I don't know how that's changing. But for what I do specifically, it has changed, but the change has been kind of dope, in my opinion.
Yeah. So you look at it as a pro because you get more opportunities to interact with artists.
Yeah. And I also can, sympathize with those that are in a different area of the game where they had to be on set. And, that's how they make their living, auditions and stuff like that. So it's definitely like a 50-50 pendulum swing of good and bad. As far as the entertainment industry, COVID overall is bad.
Yeah. Yes, COVID is. So don't you think and believe that people who are starting out and trying to create a platform of their own kind of have that equilibrium because everything is in a digital place? So it's kind of like similar content. So do you think that makes the playing field equal?
It makes the playing field equal as far as being talent. It doesn't make it equal as far as getting resources. When you think about, and I think people get this, these two words confused a lot, and I'm not the biggest wordsmith, but when you think of prejudice and racism, people think that's two of the same things, and it's not. Racism is systemic.
Yeah.
So what's happening in the media industry is systemic things that are created or that's happening where we can't fully develop our own platforms, or fully, if we do the platforms, then there's a wall of how we get our advertising, which is how the platforms make money. So there's always an equal playing field on the exposure. You have YouTube, everybody can go on YouTube and be like, hey, look at us. But when it comes down to how you're going to get sponsored, when it comes down to where the money's really going to come from, that's going to make you wealthy, not just pay a few bills here and there. That's where the game needs to advance and needs to really look at itself, honestly, because it's just unjust and not fair. So that's what I would say about that.
100%. Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to pick your brain on this topic, especially.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Thank you. Where can people follow your journey at?
Right now, you can follow the journey on Twitter and Instagram at The Real DJ Damage. I am 1/3 of the Hollywood Unlocked crew, syndicated radio show, podcast, and television show. I also have my own podcast inside, the Dualities podcast. So make sure you check that out with me and my girl Carmen. And that's it. Check it out right there. Boom, 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 bam.
Perfect. Thank you so much. The one and only DJ Damage. Thank you.